Through the Ravine. Gonna get into today the top 10 MLB trade deadline predictions by yours truly. Now, these may be realistic, they may not be realistic. Some of these may come to pass, some of them may not come to pass, but we are 1 month away from the trade deadline, one of the best days of the year in baseball. And I look at the list of players that I have down here, and I've gone through the list of players that may or may not get traded, and it's not led by a superstar. Like, there have been superstars in the past that have been headlined as guys that could get traded, and I don't necessarily see that superstar here. We'll talk about one potential superstar that could get traded. But without further ado, let me know your guys' thoughts down below in the comment section about my predictions and any predictions you also might have. We have an honorable mention to Kyle Finnegan. So Kyle Finnegan has been a little bit injured this year, but has been one of the best relievers in baseball quietly for the Washington Nationals over the last couple of years. And if there was a team, I think the Dodgers are all over this guy, personally. I think this is a marquee Dodger signing. Kyle Finnegan would fit perfectly, I think, into this Dodger bullpen. If he does get moved, he has allowed 26 hits on the year. I think Kyle Finnegan would be a guy the Dodgers could target. Into the list now, beginning at number 10, I have Seth Lugo getting moved by the Kansas City Royals. The Kansas City Royals not having the year that they may have expected after a postseason berth last year. Lugo still pitching pretty good, and he has given up 29 runs this year. I have Lugo going to the Mets, and that may sound familiar because it is. Seth Lugo has pitched for the Mets before, and this seems like a perfect fit to me. It might be that the Mets have lost Griffin Canning for the year, which really sucks. So they're going to need pitching, and regardless, they're going to need pitching. So Seth Lugo to the Mets makes a lot of sense. 9 for me, I have Ryan McMahon getting moved by the Colorado Rockies. And I feel bad for the Rockies. Once again, I'll say it here. Lowly Rockies, less than 20 wins for Colorado on the year. But Ryan McMahon been a staple for that Colorado Rockies franchise, one of the longest tenured players at this point. And McMahon deserves a chance to win, and I think that chance to win will be in Houston. He has 12 homers so far on the season. We are halfway through the year, by the way, at the recording of this video. 81 games played for each and every team. Pretty good stuff there. Ryan McMahon, 12 homers on the year. I think he'll fit in pretty nicely in Houston. Around the infield somewhere, maybe a DH role. We shall see, but Ryan McMahon I have going to the Houston Astros. Number 8 on the list, I have Walker Buehler getting moved by the Boston Red Sox, and realistically, Walker Buehler should not be on the top 10 list, but because he is a marquee name, like, we know about Walker Buehler, and he is a postseason player. I can tell you firsthand, Walker Buehler lives for October baseball. This may be the longest shot of his career to be something in October, but I still do believe that Walker Buehler can dial it in, because I've always believed in Walker Buehler, and he's proven it time and time again. Even last year, when people didn't think he would be anything close to what he was last October, I still had that trust in Walker Buehler to do what he does. And so I have the Dodgers getting Walker Buehler. I think the Dodgers would be a phenomenal fit. I would love to see Butane back in Dodger blue. He belongs in Dodger blue. The Dodgers, they love reclamation projects. Buehler built for the postseason. The Dodgers are going to be in October. Buehler could certainly be a role in that. Number 7 on this list of getting moved here, I have Ryan O'Hearn of the Baltimore Orioles. It is a really good chance that Ryan O'Hearn gets moved, and Ryan O'Hearn is one of those guys that you may or may not have heard of, but he's been in the league since 2018, and Ryan O'Hearn on the year has 11 homers, having a career season for the Baltimore Orioles, and he's been really good over the last few seasons. Coming up with Kansas City, now in Baltimore, and so Ryan O'Hearn's going to get a chance to probably go somewhere the Orioles going to fetch for something, because they're not making the postseason. So Ryan O'Hearn I have going to the Cincinnati Reds, a team on the bubble and looking for some offense at first base potentially. I think Ryan O'Hearn could be a good fit for Cincinnati. Number 6 on the list, I have Josh Naylor of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Now, I'm not the biggest Naylor believer or truther, I guess you could say, but Naylor going to be a player here at the deadline, a big bat that teams certainly will look for, and he has 89 hits on the season, which isn't too shabby at this stage in the season. I have Naylor going back to the Guardians. Could that be a thing? Could Cleveland want to run it back with both Naylors again? I don't know, but it certainly could be a fit. I think the Guardians always looking for some offense, and Josh Naylor could help them out once again. Number 5 on my list, I have Joan Duran of the Minnesota Twins getting traded to the Chicago Cubs. Joan Duran, one of the best relievers in baseball over the last few seasons, underrated over there in Minnesota. The Twins, unlikely to push for the postseason, so he has a 1.73 ERA on the season. I have him traded to the Chicago Cubs. I think for the Cubbies, you got to go for it. You need to get back into the playoffs with Craig Counsell as a manager. They could use some bullpen help. I think every single team could always bolster their bullpen, and Durant would certainly help that bullpen back end for the Cubbies. I should also mention that Walker Buehler, going back a little bit, has 67 innings pitched on the year. Some of the highest he's pitched over the last number of seasons. On my list, I have Luis Roberts of the Chicago White Sox getting traded. He has 27 runs scored on the season. Luis Roberts has been abysmal over the last couple of seasons, but he's had a good season or two in his career and has always carried that big name package with him. Was once upon a time a top prospect. But the White Sox are seemingly where players go to fail. And fortunately for Robert, he's one of those guys that has been bitten by the White Sox failure. But a change of scenery, I think, would do Robert pretty good. And to have him going to the Phillies, he's been linked before to Philadelphia, and I think the Phillies could bolster their outfield in a little bit. Certainly, the Phillies could use a punch or two, I think, to that ball club if they want to go deep in October. And Luis Robert may just be that missing ingredients. Number 3 here, top 3 now, I have Sandy Alcantara getting traded by the Miami Marlins over to the New York Yankees. Now, I do have side note Dodgers/Yankees, but I'll go with the Yankees here because I already talked about the Dodgers a couple times. I think Alcantara could go fit in with New York. The Yankees could use some pitching. I think they need some pitching in their rotation for sure, and they could take a gamble on Alcantara. It wouldn't hurt them, I don't believe. He currently has 34 walks on the year. Alcantara is no longer the Cy Young guy he was. Let's just keep that in mind. I think we know that at this point. Alcantara is a reclamation project coming off of a Tommy John surgery. So we'll see if the Yankees, or anybody for that matter, bites on Sandy Alcantara. Number 2 on my list, I have Marcel Ozuna getting traded by the Atlanta Braves. Now, Ozuna has 58 walks on the year, so he's taken in his walks this year, which is good for Ozuna. And it should be noted that he has a no movement clause or something along those lines. So if he was to get traded, he would have to approve of that location. And Ozuna, I have him going to Detroit. I think Detroit's, as crazy as it sounds, this is their World Series window. They need to push for it. They need to go for it. The Tigers probably could use the DH. I would imagine they could use the DH, and Marcel Ozuna, I think, would fit perfectly into that middle of that Tigers lineup as a designated hitter of some sorts. And so Ozuna to Detroit, I think, would make Detroit a lot scarier, and they're going for it. So good on Detroit. I have Ozuna to the Tigers. Finally, my number 1 trade deadline prediction, boldest prediction, is Jiren Durant. So, like I said, maybe these guys don't get traded. Jiren Durant, who knows? We see the Red Sox already trade Devers out, but that was coming. I think that's a good move by Boston to do that, regardless if they're selling or not. If they want to go full-on sell mode, and trading Jiren Durant would be that sell mode. He has 8 triples on the year, so Jiren Durant could definitely run around the bases, no doubt about that. He's a good defender, could run the bases, hits for power, hits for average. He's your typical fossil player, but of the maybe tier 2 echelon. But Jiren Durant, I do like Jiren Durant, and I have him going to the San Diego Padres. The Padres desperately need another outfielder. I mean, this team is just putting the ball boys out there, to be quite frankly with you. They really need some outfielders in San Diego. Letting go Jurickson Profar really hurt them, and so they're really needing outfielders out there. Jiren Durant would just fit in there perfectly, I think, into San Diego. So Jiren Durant to the Padres is my biggest trade deadline prediction. We know the Padres have a thing for going for AJ Preller, so we'll see if the Padres make the move. With that being said, I'm going to sign off on this episode. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys back here pretty soon.